The Memory Erasure Program. Between 1953 and 1973, the CIA conducted MKUltra, the most extensive mind control program in documented history. Using techniques ranging from hypnosis to electroshock therapy to psychedelic drugs, the program successfully demonstrated that human memory, personality, and perception of reality could be completely rewritten. Declassified documents reveal that researchers achieved total personality destruction and reconstruction, creating individuals with entirely fabricated identities and memories that felt completely authentic to the subjects. Dr. Ewan Cameron, working under MKUltra at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, developed techniques called psychic driving that could erase a person's existing personality within weeks. Patients were subjected to drug-induced comas lasting up to 88 days, while recorded messages played continuously for 16 to 20 hours daily, literally overwriting their consciousness with new information and beliefs through repetitive audio bombardment. The program's success was measured by subjects who completely forgot their previous lives, families, and identities. Documentation shows that researchers could implant false memories so convincing that subjects would swear under oath to experiences that never happened. One documented case involved a subject convinced she had murdered her own children, despite the fact that her children were alive and well and visiting her regularly. MKUltra's most disturbing achievement was creating what researchers called Manchurian candidates, individuals programmed to perform specific actions while having no memory of their programming. Declassified files describe subjects who could be activated by specific trigger words to carry out complex tasks, including assassination, theft, and espionage, then return to normal consciousness with no awareness of their actions or the triggers that controlled them. The program utilized unwitting subjects, including psychiatric patients, prisoners, drug addicts, and prostitutes who were experimented on without consent or knowledge. Many subjects suffered permanent psychological damage, including severe depression, anxiety disorders, and chronic memory problems, while others retained false memories and altered personalities for the rest of their lives. LSD experiments conducted on over 6,000 subjects demonstrated that reality perception could be fundamentally altered through chemical manipulation. Subjects reported seeing different worlds, experiencing non-existent events, and developing beliefs about reality that persisted long after the drugs left their systems. Some subjects were given LSD daily for months without their knowledge through contaminated food and drinks. The techniques developed in MKUltra were later refined and deployed in interrogation programs, psychological warfare operations, and domestic surveillance. While the program was officially terminated in 1973, many researchers believe the methods were transferred to other classified projects, including Operations Phoenix, Artichoke, and Bluebird, that continue under different names today. Most chilling was the discovery that memory implantation could be achieved without drugs through psychological techniques alone. Researchers learned to create false memories using combinations of hypnosis, sensory deprivation, sleep deprivation, and environmental manipulation that were indistinguishable from real memories to the subjects who experienced them. Internal CIA documents reveal that MKUltra achieved success rates of over 80% in personality destruction and memory implantation, proving that human consciousness could be systematically manipulated and controlled through scientific methods. The program's legacy includes techniques that form the foundation of modern psychological warfare and interrogation protocols. The Media Reality Engine. From the 1950s through the 1970s, the CIA operated Mockingbird, a comprehensive program to control news media and shape public perception of reality. The operation infiltrated major news organizations, recruited journalists as assets, and created a vast network for disseminating propaganda disguised as legitimate news reporting. Congressional investigations revealed that the program achieved near total control over American media discourse during the Cold War period. Declassified documents reveal that over 400 American journalists were secretly working for the CIA, including reporters at the New York Times, CBS, Time Magazine, The Washington Post, and Newsweek. These assets didn't just gather intelligence, They actively shaped news coverage to promote CIA narratives and suppress stories that contradicted agency interests, creating false consensus about international events and domestic politics. The program's reach extended to book publishing, with the CIA secretly funding the publication of over 1,000 books designed to influence public opinion. Many best-selling authors were unknowingly promoting CIA-crafted narratives, while others, including James Jesus Angleton and E. Howard Hunt, were directly paid to write propaganda disguised as independent journalism or academic research. Television news became a primary target for reality manipulation. CIA assets and television news organizations could ensure that specific stories received prominent coverage, while others were buried or ignored entirely. The agency effectively controlled which events the American public would perceive as important or newsworthy, creating artificial priorities that served intelligence objectives rather than public interest. Mockingbird's international operations created false realities about foreign conflicts and political movements. The CIA would stage events, photograph them, and distribute the images through controlled media outlets to create false impressions about international situations that justified American foreign policy decisions, including military interventions and regime change operations. The program developed sophisticated techniques for psychological manipulation through media messaging. Researchers discovered that repeated exposure to specific narratives could alter public beliefs even when the information contradicted direct personal experience. Reality became whatever the controlled media consistently reported it to be, regardless of actual facts or evidence. Documents show that Mockingbird extended beyond news into entertainment media, with CIA assets influencing Hollywood films and television shows to promote specific worldviews and political perspectives. Entertainment became another vector for shaping public consciousness and perception of reality, with spy movies, war films, and political thrillers serving as propaganda vehicles. The operation's success was measured by public opinion polls that showed Americans believing CIA-manufactured narratives about international events, political figures, and social movements. The agency could literally create public reality by controlling the information that reached citizens through trusted media sources, achieving consensus on false narratives within weeks of their introduction. While Mockingbird was officially terminated in 1976 following congressional investigations, whistleblowers and leaked documents suggest that similar media manipulation programs continue under different names, utilizing digital media and social media platforms to achieve even greater control over public perception and discourse. The Social Reality Destruction Program. The FBI's counterintelligence program operated from 1956 to 1971 with the explicit goal of disrupting, misdirecting, discrediting, and neutralizing domestic political groups by manipulating social reality and destroying community bonds. The program didn't just surveil targets. It actively created false realities designed to turn groups against themselves and destroy social movements from within through sophisticated psychological warfare. COINTELPRO agents masqueraded as members of targeted organizations, creating fake conflicts and spreading disinformation designed to create distrust and paranoia. By manipulating information and manufacturing controversies, the program could destroy organizations without any external opposition, making groups implode through artificially created internal strife while appearing to be natural political failures. The program's bad jacket operations involved creating false evidence that loyal organization members were actually government informants, forged documents, fake communications, planted evidence, and manufactured scenarios convinced group members that their most dedicated colleagues were secretly working for law enforcement, destroying trust and causing organizations to disintegrate through suspicion and fear. One of COINTELPRO's most sophisticated techniques was manufacturing romantic and personal conflicts within target groups. Agents would create false love affairs, fake breakups, imaginary betrayals, and artificial jealousies that turned organizational leaders against each other, using human emotions as weapons to destroy political movements from within. The program successfully destroyed the Black Panther Party by creating the false reality that different chapters were planning attacks against each other. FBI agents wrote threatening letters between chapters, forged communications suggesting betrayals, and even staged fake shooting incidents that convinced Panthers they were under attack from their own organization rather than external enemies. COINTELPRO's psychological warfare extended to harassment campaigns designed to drive targets to mental breakdown or suicide. Agents would systematically isolate individuals by spreading false rumors, creating fake emergencies, manipulating social relationships, and conducting surveillance harassment until targets became paranoid, depressed, and unable to function effectively. The program utilized media manipulation to create false public realities about targeted groups. FBI agents would leak false information to journalists, stage fake events for photographers, and create fabricated evidence that portrayed peaceful organizations as violent threats to public safety, justifying increased surveillance and repression. Document analysis reveals that COINTELPRO developed templates for destroying any social movement by manipulating the information environment around it. The techniques were so effective that organizations would destroy themselves while believing they were responding to real threats and genuine conflicts created by their political opponents. The program's legacy includes techniques that were later applied to international psychological operations and domestic surveillance programs. Many researchers believe that similar reality manipulation methods are still being used against contemporary social movements through digital platforms, social media manipulation, and coordinated disinformation campaigns. The UFO Reality Control Program. From 1952 to 1969, the U.S. Air Force operated Project Blue Book, officially investigating UFO sightings while secretly developing techniques to control public perception of unexplained aerial phenomena. Declassified documents reveal that the program's real purpose was not investigation, but reality manipulation, creating false explanations and manufactured evidence to prevent public belief in genuine unexplained phenomena that might threaten national security narratives. The program employed a multi-layered approach to controlling UFO reality. First, investigators would attempt to provide conventional explanations for sightings, no matter how implausible or contradictory to witness testimony. When conventional explanations failed, the program would manufacture false evidence, create fake witness testimonies, and develop elaborate cover stories to discredit authentic reports. Dr. J. Allen Hynek, the program's chief scientific consultant, later revealed that he was pressured to provide debunking explanations regardless of evidence quality. Investigators were required to close cases with conventional explanations, even when the evidence clearly indicated unknown phenomena that defied current scientific understanding and violated known laws of physics. The program developed sophisticated disinformation techniques that could convince witnesses they had misidentified conventional objects or experienced hallucinations. Using psychological pressure, false information, manufactured evidence, and expert testimony, investigators could alter witnesses' memories of their own experiences and convince them they had imagined extraordinary events. Blue Book's most controversial technique involved staging fake UFO incidents using experimental aircraft, weather balloons, and special effects to create sightings that could later be explained as conventional phenomena. These manufactured events served to discredit genuine unexplained sightings by associating them with hoaxes and misidentifications in public consciousness. Internal documents reveal that the program maintained two sets of files: public records containing false explanations and classified files containing actual evidence of unexplained phenomena. The public records created a false reality where all UFO sightings had conventional explanations, while classified files documented genuinely anomalous incidents that could not be explained through conventional means. The program's psychological operations extended beyond individual witnesses to shape mass public perception. Blue Book worked with media organizations to promote specific narratives about UFO sightings, ensuring that public discussion focused on easily debunked cases while ignoring credible reports from trained observers, including military pilots and radar operators. Advanced psychological profiling allowed Blue Book to target specific types of witnesses with tailored disinformation campaigns. Military personnel received different false explanations than civilian witnesses, with each group receiving information designed to be maximally convincing to their particular mindset, professional background, and security clearances. The program's success was measured by public opinion polls showing decreased belief in UFO phenomena, despite continued high-quality sightings by credible witnesses. Blue Book effectively created a false consensus reality where unexplained phenomena were widely perceived as explained, regardless of actual evidence or witness credibility. The Domestic Reality War. From 1967 to 1974, the CIA conducted Operation Chaos, an illegal domestic surveillance and manipulation program that monitored over 300,000 American citizens while developing techniques to manipulate domestic political reality. The operation went far beyond surveillance, actively creating false information, manufacturing controversies, and manipulating social movements to control American political consciousness and prevent effective opposition to government policies. The program infiltrated anti-war organizations, civil rights groups, and student movements with agents who didn't just gather intelligence but actively shaped group decisions and activities. These agents would propose radical actions designed to discredit movements, create internal conflicts that would fragment organizations, and manipulate group dynamics to prevent effective political action. Operation Chaos developed comprehensive psychological profiles of American political activists that were used to craft personalized manipulation campaigns. Agents would exploit individual psychological vulnerabilities, personal relationships, family problems, and emotional triggers to control targets' behavior and beliefs, while appearing to be supportive friends and allies. The program's reality distortion operations involved creating false information about government activities, protest effectiveness, and political developments that would influence activist behavior. By controlling the information that reached political groups, the CIA could manipulate their strategic decisions, tactical choices, and political actions without their knowledge. Agents masquerading as journalists would spread disinformation through underground newspapers and alternative media outlets that activists trusted for accurate information about government activities and political developments. This allowed the CIA to shape activist reality by controlling their sources of information about political developments and government responses to their activities. The program utilized provocateurs who would encourage illegal activities, violence, and extreme actions that would justify government crackdowns and discredit peaceful movements. These agents would create the very threats that law enforcement would then use to justify expanded surveillance, infiltration, and repression of legitimate political activities. Operation Chaos maintained detailed files on American citizens' political beliefs, personal relationships, sexual activities, and psychological profiles that were used to craft targeted manipulation campaigns. The program could predict and influence individual political behavior by understanding personal motivations, fears, and vulnerabilities. The operation extended to manipulating academic and intellectual discourse about political movements. CIA assets in universities would shape research, influence publications, control academic conferences, and create academic narratives about domestic political developments, creating false scholarly consensus about activist movements and their effectiveness. Documents reveal that Chaos developed templates for destroying domestic political movements through information manipulation that were later applied to international psychological operations. The techniques proved so effective that movements would self-destruct while believing they were responding to genuine political developments and threats. The Ionospheric Mind Control Array. The High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, SHARP, operates a massive antenna array in Alaska, capable of transmitting 3.6 megawatts of radio frequency energy into the ionosphere. While officially described as atmospheric research, declassified military documents reveal that AARP was designed to manipulate human consciousness on a global scale by modulating the electromagnetic fields that surround Earth and influence brain activity. The facility's 180 antennas can focus electromagnetic energy into specific geographic regions, creating localized electromagnetic field effects that influence brain activity in populations below. The system operates on frequencies that resonate with human brainwave patterns, allowing it to induce specific mental states including euphoria, depression, anger, confusion, or docility in targeted populations. Patent documents filed by HAARP's developers explicitly describe the system's capability to manipulate and disrupt mental processes through strategic deployment of electromagnetic field effects. The patents detail how specific frequency combinations can alter human consciousness, memory formation, decision-making processes, and emotional states through direct electromagnetic stimulation of brain tissue. Declassified Air Force documents describe HAARP's use in psychological warfare operations, where electromagnetic transmissions were used to pacify hostile populations during military conflicts. The system proved capable of inducing mass behavioral changes in target populations by manipulating the electromagnetic environment they inhabit, creating compliance and reducing resistance to military occupation. The facility's operations correlate with documented changes in local population behavior, including increased depression rates, altered sleep patterns, unusual clustering of mental health incidents, and unexplained changes in suicide rates in surrounding communities. Medical researchers have noted neurological anomalies and electromagnetic sensitivity symptoms in populations exposed to HAARP transmissions. HAARP's technology extends beyond local effects to global consciousness manipulation. The system can create electromagnetic disturbances that propagate through Earth's magnetosphere, potentially influencing human consciousness on continental scales by modulating the natural electromagnetic fields that affect brain activity and circadian rhythms. Independent researchers have documented that HAARP operations coincide with political events, election periods, and social unrest, suggesting that the system is being used to influence public opinion and voter behavior during critical political periods. The timing of transmissions correlates with election cycles, major policy decisions, and periods of social tension. The program's most disturbing capability involves creating artificial electromagnetic signatures that can trigger specific psychological responses in targeted individuals. By broadcasting personalized frequency patterns based on individual brain signatures, AARP can potentially influence the thoughts and behavior of specific people rather than just general populations. Recent expansions to HAARP include mobile transmitter systems that can be deployed to any location worldwide, allowing for targeted consciousness manipulation operations in specific regions during political crises, military conflicts, or social control operations requiring population pacification. The False Reality Creation Protocol. In 1962, the Joint Chiefs of Staff approved Operation Northwoods, a plan to conduct false flag operations that would create fictional realities to justify military action against Cuba. The declassified documents reveal sophisticated techniques for manufacturing fake events so convincing that American citizens, Congress, and international observers would believe them to be genuine attacks requiring immediate military response. The operation included plans to stage fake terrorist attacks on American soil, complete with manufactured evidence, fabricated witnesses, coordinated media coverage, and physical destruction that would create public belief in Cuban aggression that never actually occurred. The false realities would be so convincing that they would justify full-scale military invasion and regime change. Northwood's documents describe detailed techniques for creating convincing evidence of Cuban involvement in terrorist activities, including fake radio communications, manufactured physical evidence, coached witness testimonies, forged documents, and staged photographic evidence that would be presented to Congress and the media as genuine intelligence. The plan included staging fake aircraft hijackings, where military personnel would pose as terrorists, create dramatic incidents for media coverage, and then disappear while leaving evidence pointing to Cuban involvement. The fake hijackings would involve actual commercial aircraft, and would create public demand for military action against Cuba. Most disturbing was the plan to sacrifice American military personnel to create convincing casualties that would enrage the American public and justify military retaliation. The operation included specific details for killing American soldiers and presenting their deaths as Cuban attacks, using real deaths to authenticate fake events and create genuine grief. The program developed templates for manufacturing international incidents that could be used to justify military action against any target nation. The techniques included creating fake attacks on American interests abroad, manufacturing evidence of foreign aggression, coordinating international media coverage of fabricated events, and creating false witnesses and documentation. Northwood's planners recognized that modern populations required more sophisticated deception than previous generations. The operation incorporated television coverage, multiple witness accounts, physical evidence, expert testimony, and international corroboration that would satisfy skeptical media investigation and public scrutiny. The documents reveal that false flag operations were considered routine tools of foreign policy, with detailed protocols for creating fake realities that would manipulate public opinion to support predetermined political objectives, regardless of actual international circumstances or legitimate security threats. Although Northwoods was ultimately rejected by President Kennedy, the techniques described in the documents were later implemented in other operations, and similar false flag protocols remain active in classified military planning documents according to whistleblower testimony. The Digital Reality Matrix. In 2016, the State Department established the Global Engagement Center, GEC, officially tasked with countering foreign propaganda, but actually operating as a comprehensive digital reality manipulation system. Leaked documents reveal that the GEC uses artificial intelligence, social media manipulation, coordinated disinformation campaigns, and algorithmic control to dominate online discourse and shape public perception of political events worldwide. The center operates through partnerships with technology companies, social media platforms, search engines, and artificial intelligence systems that can monitor and manipulate online conversations in real time. The system can identify emerging narratives within minutes and deploy countermeasures to ensure that specific viewpoints never gain public traction or reach critical mass. GEC's narrative warfare operations involve creating networks of fake social media accounts that appear to be ordinary citizens, but are actually artificial intelligence systems designed to influence public opinion. These bot networks can amplify specific messages while suppressing others, creating false impressions of public consensus and marginalizing dissenting viewpoints. The center's most sophisticated tool is its ability to manipulate search engine results and social media algorithms to control what information people can access about current events. By influencing algorithm parameters, content ranking systems, and recommendation engines, the GEC can ensure that specific narratives dominate public discourse while alternative viewpoints become virtually invisible. Internal documents describe the center's cognitive security operations that target American citizens who share information that contradicts government narratives. The system can identify and neutralize domestic dissent by manipulating the information environment around targeted individuals, limiting their reach and credibility. The GEC coordinates with international partners to create global information control networks that can manipulate public opinion simultaneously across multiple countries. These operations can create false international consensus that pressures individual nations to adopt specific policies or support particular military interventions. The center's artificial intelligence systems can generate convincing fake news articles, social media posts, photographs, and video content that are indistinguishable from genuine user-generated content. This synthetic media can be deployed to support any narrative while appearing to come from credible independent sources. The program's information inoculation campaigns involve exposing populations to weakened versions of undesirable narratives combined with strong counter-messages that make people psychologically resistant to information that contradicts government positions. This creates lasting immunity to specific types of information. The GEC's operations extend to manipulating academic research and expert opinion by funding studies that support predetermined conclusions while suppressing research that contradicts official narratives. The center can create false scientific consensus on political issues through coordinated publication and citation manipulation. The Occult Reality Program. From 1968 to 1972, the CIA conducted Project MK-Often, a classified program that explored how occult practices, supernatural beliefs, and paranormal phenomena could be weaponized to manipulate human consciousness and create alternative realities. The program investigated whether ancient ritual practices contain genuine techniques for altering human perception and behavior that could be adapted for psychological warfare. The project enlisted anthropologists, psychologists, parapsychologists, and practicing occultists to study how traditional shamanic practices, religious rituals, mystical experiences, and ceremonial magic could be reproduced in laboratory settings for intelligence applications. Researchers discovered that many ancient practices could indeed produce measurable alterations in consciousness and reality perception. M.K. Ofton's experiments involved recreating tribal initiation ceremonies, mystical religious experiences, shamanic journeying techniques, and ritual magic practices under controlled conditions. Subjects who underwent these procedures reported profound alterations in their perception of reality, spiritual beliefs, and psychological functioning that persisted long after the experimental sessions ended. The program's most controversial research involved investigating whether consciousness could be projected outside the physical body and used to gather intelligence or influence distant targets. Experiments with out-of-body experiences, astral projection, and remote viewing produced results that challenged materialist assumptions about the nature of consciousness and its relationship to physical reality. Researchers discovered that certain combinations of sensory deprivation, rhythmic stimulation, psychoactive substances, and specific ritual procedures could reliably induce experiences of contact with non-physical entities or alternate dimensions. These experiences felt completely real to subjects and could be used to implant beliefs or motivation that influenced their subsequent behavior. The project investigated how group ritual practices could create shared, altered states of consciousness that would make participants susceptible to suggestion and behavioral programming. Mass ritual experiences proved capable of creating lasting psychological changes in entire groups simultaneously, providing techniques for mass consciousness manipulation. M.K. Ofton's research into psychic phenomena yielded evidence that consciousness could influence physical reality through mechanisms that conventional science couldn't explain. These findings were classified because they suggested that human mental capabilities far exceeded what psychological warfare experts had previously considered possible. The program developed protocols for using occult practices to break down subjects' normal reality frameworks and replace them with alternative belief systems. These techniques proved more effective than conventional brainwashing methods because they operated through direct consciousness manipulation rather than external psychological pressure. Documents suggest that M.K. Ofton's findings were incorporated into later psychological operations that utilize spiritual and mystical elements to manipulate target populations. The program demonstrated that reality itself could be altered by changing consciousness rather than just manipulating external information. The Reality Engineering Division, established in 1986, the Department of Defense's Perception Management Office operates as a specialized unit for engineering reality through comprehensive information control and psychological manipulation. Leaked Pentagon documents reveal that the office coordinates reality manipulation operations across all government agencies to ensure consistent public perception of political events and maintain social control. The office operates through a network of psychological warfare specialists, media manipulation experts, cognitive scientists, and perception engineers who study how human perception can be systematically altered through environmental control. Their research has identified specific techniques for changing how entire populations perceive and interpret reality without their awareness. Perception. Management's reality engineering protocols involve controlling not just information, but the cognitive frameworks that people use to interpret information. By manipulating the mental models, cultural assumptions, and belief systems that people use to understand the world, the office can ensure that any information will be interpreted according to predetermined narratives. The office's most advanced technique involves experiential reality modification, where subjects are exposed to carefully designed experiences that alter their fundamental beliefs about how the world works. These experiences feel completely authentic, but are actually artificial environments designed to implant specific worldviews and political perspectives. The The program utilizes virtual reality technology, immersive simulation environments, sophisticated role-playing scenarios, and environmental manipulation to create experiences that are more convincing than actual reality. Subjects who undergo these procedures develop beliefs and memories based on artificial experiences that feel more real than their actual life history. Perception. Management coordinates with entertainment media to ensure that fictional narratives support government policy objectives by shaping public expectations about political and social reality. Movies, television shows, video games, and social media content become tools for preparing public consciousness to accept specific political developments. The office's narrative seeding operations involve introducing ideas into popular culture months or years before they are needed for political purposes. By the time specific narratives are required for policy justification, public consciousness has already been prepared to accept them as natural and obvious rather than artificial constructions. The program's psychological research has identified how to manipulate collective unconscious patterns and archetypal thinking to influence mass behavior. By understanding how humans process reality at unconscious levels, the office can shape public response to events before people are consciously aware of their own reactions. Recent developments include the office's use of artificial intelligence systems to monitor and manipulate social media discourse in real time, ensuring that public conversation about political events follows predetermined patterns regardless of actual facts, evidence, or citizen concerns. Conclusion. These 10 documented government programs prove that reality manipulation isn't science fiction. It's established government policy implemented through decades of psychological research and technological development. From MKUltra's memory erasure techniques to the Global Engagement Center's digital reality matrix, intelligence agencies have spent enormous resources perfecting methods to control human consciousness, perception, and belief systems. What emerges from these declassified documents is a disturbing picture. Governments possess sophisticated technologies and techniques for manipulating every aspect of human reality experience. They can alter memories, control media narratives, manufacture events, manipulate consciousness through electromagnetic fields, stage false flag operations, and create entirely artificial experiences that feel more real than actual reality. The implications are staggering. If governments can erase and implant memories, control media coverage, stage false events, and manipulate consciousness through technology, then how much of what you believe about the world is actually authentic versus artificially constructed through psychological operations? These programs reveal that the boundary between genuine reality and government-manufactured reality has been systematically erased through scientific methods. Through decades of psychological research and technological development, agencies have created capabilities for controlling human perception that exceed anything imagined in science fiction. Perhaps most disturbing is the realization that these programs never ended. They evolved and expanded. The techniques developed in historical programs like MKUltra and Mockingbird have been refined and deployed through digital platforms, artificial intelligence systems, and social media manipulation that can influence consciousness on a global scale with unprecedented precision. The evidence suggests that what most people experience as reality is actually a carefully crafted artificial environment designed to maintain specific beliefs, behaviors, and political compliance. The technology for reality manipulation has become so sophisticated that distinguishing authentic experience from manufactured perception may no longer be possible for most individuals. These 10 programs prove that government reality manipulation isn't a conspiracy theory. It's documented historical fact that continues to evolve and expand into every aspect of human consciousness and social reality through increasingly sophisticated technological means.